Welcome again as we continue with our study in performance management techniques. This session is measures of performance. Now, our learning objectives are that at the end of the session, you will be able to name what the 5 approaches to measuring performance would be, to be able to identify and describe the techniques used in each approach, and to describe the pros and cons of each approach using the evaluation protocol we learned about in the last session. So there are 5 methods. Now, the first method is the comparative approach, the second, the attributes approach, the third, results approach, then there's the behavioral approach, and total quality. Now, we hope to be able to go through all of them in this session. No, in this session, we are only going to go through the comparative approach. So let's begin with the comparative approach. What we're looking at the comparative approach is that we're asking every rater to compare individuals with the performance of people around you. So this is comparing how your employees behave with respect to other people that are around them. Now, we would have done some of this before because we're very familiar with the ranking method. Clearly, one thing is first, so you would have your best employee ranked to your worst employee. Then there's also another method that's called paired comparison. And here is where you're going to compare each set of employees against each other so that you would know which of those employees would be the better employee in your mind. Then there's a forced distribution comparison. And what that is that what we would do is that we would say every manager needs to be able to put 3% of their employees in a below standards category, 70% of them in a meeting standards category, and the rest of them we would say that you would be in excellent. So a manager will have to be able to place along a normal distribution curve all his employees in that grade. Now, when we're talking about this comparative approach, as you require raters to compare with that of others, you are looking at the overall assessment of the individual's performance. This simple ranking requires you to rank the employees within your department from highest to lowest. Alternation ranking consists of a manager looking at a list of employees and deciding who is the best and then who is the worst and so forth. Now, in the courts, ranking system has really not been looked at very favorably, and I'm sure you can understand why. For forced distribution, the text that this slide refers to is in the Raymond No Human Resources Management. And we talked about this, about putting employees in a predetermined categories. Paired comparison says that you are going to compare every employee with every other employee, giving the employee a score. While you give this employee the score, now the person who is ranked as coming across having the better score against other employees, that person would be your top performer. Now, when we evaluate the comparison approach, we see that it's an effective tool when the main purpose that you have is to differentiate employees' performance. It virtually eliminates any problems of leniency, central tendency, and strictness because you clearly have to put one person before each other. And of course, it's relatively easy to develop and use. We use it all the time. Now, it's often considered to be acceptable by the users because it's easily understandable. However, we cannot see where it is linked to the strategic goals of any organization, and validity and reliability would depend on the rater due to the subjective nature of the ratings. Now, it would also lack specificity because what you're saying is you are the best, but you don't tell the person who is the worst how could they become the best as well. So that's our introduction to the comparative approaches that are used in the performance management system. And that's the end of session 1.